I was lucky enough to go to Japan, and while I was there, I actually went to a garden in Tokyo, and it has a bamboo forest in it, and it was absolutely beautiful. I love bamboo. I love how big it gets and just engulfs an area and creates so much shade, and then also creates so many beneficial things from it as well. You get lots of mulch out of it, so then that way you can use that mulch somewhere else. You get these long grass canes that you're able to either use for building things, or you can take those, shred those up, and create more mulch, which then gives you nutrients to add into your soil. There's so many great things about bamboo. Right behind me, I picked up 20 bamboo plants. They were on sale, so I picked up enough to do an 80-foot part of my fence, because I want to make this entire west side of my property get shaded over my house. That way it doesn't get so hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and plant out all of these bamboos along this fence line. And in a year to 2 years, they should be over 25 feet tall. So that way they will give me a lot of extra shading before the sun actually were to set. And that way I don't have to worry about keeping this side of my house as cool, because they'll get shade a little bit sooner. And the sooner I can get shade, the faster it'll start to cool down. And then once it cools down, it will stay cooler. So that way the next day it takes longer to heat up that side of the house again. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and offload these so I can get everything ready so I can plant them up in my fence area. I was lucky enough to go to Japan, and while I was there, I actually went to a garden in Tokyo, and it has a bamboo forest in it, and it was absolutely beautiful. There's such a calmness that was there that comes over you when you're standing amongst all these massive bamboos, where just really thick canes and just completely blocking out the sky to where you couldn't see the sky above you clearly. And it's really calming in there. So I just fell in love with bamboo, and now that we have this property and we have the space, I've been wanting to get bamboo, but I just wasn't sure where. And now that my fence is cleared out, I decided that this is going to be the perfect place for it. Now, it's not quite a bamboo forest where I'll be able to walk through it and get that like calming feel, but it will provide lots of shade and help reduce some of the road noise from the other side of the fence. I was really lucky, and I got 20 of them for a really good price. And I actually did the math along my fence line. I actually only need, I believe 16 or 18 of them. I forget, because I am going to end up cutting down a tree if I'm going to need one on the other side or not. But either way, I'm going to have a couple extra, so that's going to give me some room to do some planting some other places and kind of see how the bamboo does there. So let's get up there so I can get these in the ground, because tomorrow night I believe we're supposed to get rain. So I want to make sure that these are planted and in the ground. That way any rainfall that comes down only helps to water in the plants more and let those roots get better established. So last year I bought this 15-gallon bamboo plant from a big box store that was actually on sale. It was a little wind damaged, and they ended up marking it down by 50%, so I picked it up. And it's come back, but it still isn't 100% happy. So I decided I was going to go ahead and plant it right here though, because if you look just a little bit in between this palm tree and this bamboo, you can actually see just a smidgen of my neighbor's house. And I do want to block out my neighbors as well, just because I like having the privacy. That's the nice thing about owning a good piece of land. So with planting all these bamboo and them growing in the next year or two, it's just going to create a nice privacy hedge as well. And that's always nice to have. So I dug most of the holes yesterday when we had a lot of overcast clouds everywhere, and it was just a really nice time of the day, so I went out and I dug most of these holes. So just like with any plant you're transplanting, you want to dig a hole the same depth, but you definitely want to go wider with it. Now, these are all less than a year old in these 5-gallon pots. They came from being dug up out of the ground. So I know that they're not going to be root bound yet. So I don't need to worry about digging like a square hole or digging a perfect circle and it causing it to continue to get root bound. These roots are going to push out and look for nutrients and water wherever they can. But if this was a root bound bamboo plant inside of this little 5-gallon, I would definitely try to agitate the roots and get them loosened up. And I would dig a square hole so that way the roots would be forced to grow outward and not just continue in a spiral as soon as they hit soil that was a little bit dense. All right, so it looks like it's already at a good height. So I'm gonna go ahead, pull this out of the pot, place it in, and then add in some of this soil back with some of the compost I've already mixed into here. Yeah, the roots aren't root bound on this at all. They're just starting to get to the edge and start growing outward. So I'm not too worried about it. And I'm actually going to take out this last little bit to fill in this hole. All right, so I have my first bamboo plant in, only have 16 more to go, and then I'll be done with this. So once I finish planting all of them, I'll go ahead and water each one of these and give them a couple of gallons of water to help the soil settle around the root ball. And then I'll go ahead and fill in any more soil that needs to be packed into there. Now these are just like strawberries where you want to find right where they were buried because you don't want to bury them deeper than you need to. You want to find right where that soil level is in the pot and keep that level with your own soil that you're digging out from your holes. I can already tell you some of the holes I dug are going to be way too deep. So this is where things start to get a little tricky. I have this fig tree that is just randomly planted here. Now I think this is actually a wild fig because we have a couple of them on the property in very odd places. And this fig has actually never given us true figs that you could eat. They always get to a certain point and they're just never able to finish ripening before the leaves fall off and it goes dormant. So I think that this is either just bad genetics or it may be a male fig tree, and that's why we're not able to get any viable figs off of this tree. So with my current spacing every 5 feet for my bamboo, I actually need to plant one right next to it, right in about here. Now I don't want to kill this right away, but eventually it will die or I'll need to kill it because it's deciduous, it's going to put out a lot of shade and it'll eventually get shaded out by the other bamboo and I don't need them competing. But I don't want to kill this fig tree completely, so I need to do a real heavy prune on this and cut it back significantly so I can get these other plants in so that they can start to establish themselves, and then next year, depending on the amount of growth I get from my bamboo, I can go ahead and fully cut this down or let it grow again while the bamboo grows another year and gets larger until it's ready to fill in the entire area. So I need to go ahead and cut down a lot of this fig. So I was able to get all the bamboo planted in today, and it goes all the way down except for the very last one where the palm tree was exactly where I needed to dig the hole. I did cut it down, but it's still gonna take a while to dig out that root mass and put that bamboo in. So for now, I have one extra. So until I can go ahead and get that one removed, all I'm gonna do now is water all of these in with a good deep watering. And then in about 2 to 3 weeks, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a real strong fertilizer. And then I'll go ahead and give it another deep watering again. So I was recommended watering my bamboo twice a week, and that's what I'll do. And then when I do fertilize all of these bamboo plants, I will go ahead and give them another deep watering to help really get that fertilizer into the root zone. That way they have lots of fertilizer and energy to put out new shoots and grow hopefully a lot this year. So I have pretty sandy soil up in this area. So my assumption is I'm gonna end up having to water this probably 2 to 3 times a week. And then come summer when it gets really hot, once summer comes around, I'm assuming I'm gonna have to water my bamboo every day because it does get so hot up here. But I will also be cutting down the amount of water that they're gonna get at each watering because I'll be watering at such a high interval of every day. All right, go out in the garden, go get dirty, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.